how's everybody doing today? It is March the 30th, 2024, and today I'm going to be preparing some coconut curry and butternut squash soup. And like I said in yesterday's video, I'm going to be showing how to make southern sweet tea. Now, like I've said in yesterday's video, I would not suggest that anybody drink this stuff. Just with the amount of sugar. Now, you can substitute, and I had a lot of people in the comments that were saying, you know, to substitute either monk fruit or stevia, which is a really good idea, and you can do that as well. But today I'm going to show you guys how it's made using actual sugar. I mean, this is the way that it's made here, so I'm just going to show you guys the traditional way. But with that said, feel free to substitute either monk fruit or stevia or whatever sweetener that you use. I would suggest using those two though. Those are, you know, two of the best in my opinion. They don't have a lot of chemicals and things like that in it. The monk fruit especially. So what I've got going on right now is I've got about 1.5 quarts of water in a pot right here boiling right now. And I've got 8 tea bags. Now these are the Lipton iced tea bags, and you need 8. And we're gonna make 2 gallons of, 1 gallon of tea today. So I'm gonna let these sit here for a second. We're gonna let this water get to just to where it's starting to boil, and then I'm gonna turn it off. We're gonna add our tea bags, and they're gonna sit and steep for 3 minutes, and then I'll show you the next step. I mean, this is really simple. There's really nothing to it to make sweet tea, but like I said, David wanted to know how to do it, and he's up in Canada, so I figured why not show him the way it's made. What I do have here in the microwave right now is I make all of my, and you can see this is kind of still a little bit frozen, but I make all my own chicken stock and everything from scratch. And then I put it in Ziploc bags and gallon Ziploc bags, and I freeze it, or either quart containers, and I'll freeze it. Anytime that we get like a rotisserie, or if I, like I said before in previous videos, I always buy bone-in chicken. I buy bone-in chicken because it's a lot cheaper, one. Two, those bones can be saved, roasted off. You don't have to roast them. I prefer to roast them because you end up with a deeper broth. Not only just the color is deeper, but you also end up with a deeper flavor in the broth as well. Another thing I wanted to talk about with you guys today too is saving your vegetable scraps. I save all of my vegetable scraps, and I'm going to turn this stove off, but I save all of my vegetable scraps, all the onion tops, celery tops, all the pieces of celery, all my carrot peels, carrot tops, all that stuff. Now stuff like bell peppers and stuff like that, I wouldn't worry too much about saving that stuff because it doesn't really go well on the broth. But anything like that's in a mirepoix, which is carrot, celery, onion, any of those pieces can be saved. I just keep a Ziploc bag in my freezer, and anytime I cut any one of those 3, all the scraps, I just open that Ziploc bag, toss them back in there, and I keep them in my freezer. I've been doing this for years. I save that stuff until it gets full, and then when I get it, you know, I start running low on my chicken broth, I'll go ahead and make a huge batch of it, and then I'll just let that cool off, put it in Ziploc bags, and then freeze it. So, like I said, I've got some chicken stock here that we're going to be using for today's recipe. Feel free to just, if you don't have any, just go to the store and buy chicken stock. You can use water if you want as well. And if you're using water, you can use something that's like this right here. You know, you got like this chicken base. The only thing with this is it's got so much sodium in it, so you know, just be careful of that. But like I said, you know, you can go ahead and either make your own chicken stock or just buy some. They sell in those little boxes. I would definitely suggest getting the low sodium kind if you're gonna do that. Now I've got my water simmering here. It's, you know, it's basically slowed down now. You don't want to put this in at a rolling boil. For one, it'll make the tea bags burst open. But I'm just going to throw these in here. I don't ever worry about the tags on those. I just toss them in. And we're just going to let that sit for 3 minutes. So I'm going to get my my timer going, and we're going to let those steep. And while that's steeping, I'm going to go ahead and go over the ingredients for today's recipe. So I've got some ground ginger. I would highly suggest using fresh opposed to the ground. I think I do have some in the freezer, as a matter of fact. And that's one of those things that you can, I don't think so, but you can keep ginger in your freezer. It works just fine. We're going to be using some ground cinnamon, some ground cumin, some bay leaves, turmeric, paprika, and 2 cans of coconut cream. It doesn't matter about the brand, you just want the coconut cream. We're gonna have 1 onion, and I've got a sweet Vidalia. These are my favorite onions on the planet. I love Vidalia onions. If you guys have never had a Vidalia, they are so sweet. You can actually just cut this open and eat these raw. I'm not joking. They are that good. They are really, really sweet, beautiful flavor. They're grown in Vidalia, Georgia, for anybody that doesn't know. And the reason that these onions are so sweet is because of the soil that they have there. And you know, there are other sweet onions, but the ones that come from Vidalia, Georgia, there's nothing like them anywhere in the world. There's only one, and these are it, and they're beautiful. And I've got 1 head of garlic. We're not going to use all the garlic, but we are going to use some. I've got the tea bags over here still steeping. I'm going to give them just a quick little stir. And I'm going to start prepping some of this stuff and getting this stuff together for what we're going to do for today. I got to dice this onion and the garlic and all that stuff, and then I'm going to throw all this all together. Another thing that you are going to need for today's recipe is either an immersion blender, which is a stick blender that you stick down inside, or either something like this, like a Vitamix or a Ninja or something like that, one of these big blenders. I'll be using this today. I'm just not a huge fan of stick blenders. They just don't work the greatest, I don't think. Now, if you have a professional one, like in a real kitchen, those things are like that tall. Like seriously, they're like 3 or 4 foot long. And when you drop that thing down in a pot, I mean, it blends it up. But the ones that you have for home use, they're just not the greatest. They work for small stuff, but for something like this, I really want to make sure that I'm pureeing this really well. I want to get all the chunks out of it. I want to make sure that it's really, really nice and smooth. And last but not least, what else we're going to have in here today is our butternut squash. And like I said, this butternut squash here, this is 2 butternut squash worth in this bag. I grew all this butternut squash in my garden. I peeled it, chunked it up, and that's our timer right there for our tea. But I peeled it, chunked it up, roasted it in the oven at 350 for about 30-45 minutes. I tossed it in an herb oil, which is just basil and olive oil basically. And once I roasted that off, let it get soft, I froze it. Now there are a couple methods that you can use for your butternut squash. You could also substitute sweet potatoes for this recipe as well. You don't have to use butternut squash. I just have a lot of butternut squash on hand, so feel free to substitute sweet potatoes for the butternut squash. It'll turn out just as good either way. Like I said, I just have a lot of this laying around and I need to use it up. This is all organically grown here at my house. Another method that you can do for your butternut squash is you can just cut the ends off, cut it right down the middle. Be very careful when you're doing that because the butternut squash is very tough. I would suggest laying like a towel on a cutting board, and then lay your butternut squash on top of that, and then use that as a way to hold it in place as you put both hands on the blade. Do not put one hand on the cutting board and then push down to cut it through. You can lay your butternut squash. You don't even have to remove the seeds right away because it is kind of hard to scoop those out. Get yourself a little bit of nonstick spray, spray it on a sheet pan, lay the butternut squash flat down, put it in the oven at 350 for about half an hour. It should soften up enough where you can just scoop the innards out. You can scoop those seeds, discard those, or keep them, roast them off, do whatever you want to do with them. You can eat those seeds if you like. But also, or you could scoop them out early, save the seeds, wash them off. You could replant those if you wanted to. That's exactly what I do. But another thing that you can do as well with butternut squash is you can take a fork, poke a couple holes in it, stick it in the microwave on a plate, and microwave it for about 6 minutes or so. It'll soften up enough where you can get the stuff out of there. But anyway, you want to make sure that your butternut squash is cooked thoroughly. You can put it in there raw. It's just going to take longer for this to cook. But like I said, we're going to go ahead and go from there. So, with that said, let's go ahead and finish this tea, and then I'll go ahead and work on the rest of this soup. So, I'm going to go ahead right now, and I'm going to remove these tea bags. I'm just going to stick them back here on the back of my stove. And I'm just gonna squeeze out whatever fluid I've got left back in them, and that's basically it. So we're just gonna pull these out of here really fast, get the rest of the excess fluid out, and then we are gonna take our sugar. And of course I'm missing my 1 cup measuring cup, but I'm gonna put, this is a 3rd cup. I'm gonna add 2 cups of sugar to this. Alright. And then basically all you wanna do is, since now that we have the water that's nice and hot, we are going to take this and we're just gonna melt that sugar into this tea. And that's basically it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pitcher, I'm going to pour in, I'm going to fill it up a little bit with cold water, and then pour this hot liquid in, because you don't want to pour that really hot liquid into a plastic container like that. I've got one of those Rubbermaid containers. I'm going to pour a little bit of cold water in, and then I'm going to add this into it, and then fill it up the rest of the way with cold water. Stir it, and that's it. And that's all there is to it. So 8 tea bags. You'll have to look at the box on which one you have. But for the sweet tea blend box, it's 8 tea bags. Those are the larger ones. But you just have to look at your box and see what the measurements are. But like I said, we've got 2 cups of sugar in here with about a quart and a half of water. I'm letting the sugar dissolve into this hot liquid, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the cold water and finish it off, top it off. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video now, and I'll show you the finished tea, and then we'll get started on this. Alright guys, so I went ahead and added the tea to the mix. So I just added, like I said, I poured in a little bit of, let me turn this down just a little bit. So I just went ahead and filled this container up about to there. Maybe like a quart, 2 quarts of cold water. I went ahead and poured in the hot tea, and then just topped it off with cold water, and that's it. And there's your sweet tea. And then pour this over ice, maybe with a lemon wedge. If I was to drink sweet tea, I would be drinking it with a lemon. But that's pretty much it, guys. That's all there is to sweet tea. As you can see here, I've got some really dirty eggs, but that's from our chickens. They like to get their eggs dirty. But anyway. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I went ahead and added a couple of tablespoons of olive oil to the pot here. And I'm going to go ahead and get these onions. And these don't need to be perfect. Let me go ahead and turn this down for you really quick so you can see what I'm doing here. But these don't need to be perfect because we're going to be pureeing this at the end anyway. So don't worry about your cuts. They don't need to be exact sizes or anything like that because, like I said, we're going to be blending this all together, so it doesn't really matter. And one of the easiest methods to cut your onions, if you're trying to do it quick, cut longwise like this and just cut it into cubes like that, and that's basically it. And we're just going to give this a quick little saute just to get a little bit of color on these. And that's about it. And I'm going to go ahead and chop up this garlic that we have here and get that ready to rock and roll. Now we want to add the garlic at a later point. We want to let the onions cook for a minute before you add the garlic. The garlic only needs about 30 seconds, and that's really about all it needs. Otherwise, you're going to end up burning it, and burnt garlic does not taste good. It is rather gross. But I'm just going to give this quick dice. Like I said, it doesn't need to be perfect because it's going to be getting blended up. So I'm not worried about getting this, super finely diced up or anything like that. I'm just going to give it a quick little chop, and that's about it. And we'll let this sit here. And like I said, we're going to go ahead and let these onions cook a little bit, get a little bit opaque, get a little bit of color on them. We'll add the garlic, and then we'll add everything else. And like I said, I've got my bag here. This is just some vegetable scrap that I've been saving for the past couple of days. I put this in the freezer and I just hang on to it. And when I'm ready to make my vegetable stock, I just add it to the pot, and I don't have to cut up any fresh vegetables to do that. And it really saves a lot of money. When I was a chef, there was a big pot of stock always on the stove at all times. We always cook stock. I bought whole chickens. I would buy like 2-3 pound birds, and we would use those for like chicken salad and all kinds of different stuff. We would roast the chickens off, pull all the meat off the chickens, and then the carcasses, we would take those, roast those off in the oven, and then roast the vegetables off a little bit, and then we would put them in a really, really big pot and let them sit overnight just at a slow roll. And because we put chicken stock in every single thing just about, so we always had that going. But like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and get these onions sauteing just a little bit, and I'm gonna add the garlic in, and I'll come back on and show you guys what we're gonna do from there. All right, guys, so we got our onions almost there. They are sauteing up right now, and we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna turn this camera down. See if I can get that close enough for you so you can see a little bit here. All right, so we got our onions in there. Like I said, just a little bit of looks like we got a little bit of steam on here. All right, sorry about that. All right, so we got our onions on here, like I said, and a little bit of olive oil sauteing. And now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add in those 2 cloves of garlic that I cut up. Just gonna add those in. I also have 2 bay leaves. We're gonna go ahead and toss these in right now too. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and add our spices into the onions with the oil, because the one thing that you'll see in Indian cooking, they fry their seasonings up, and it seasons the oil, and it toasts the seasoning, the herbs up a little bit more, and adds a little bit more depth of flavor. So I'm gonna add a teaspoon of ground ginger, and like I said, fresh ginger would be better, and maybe like a teaspoon of that. We have some ground cinnamon. I'm gonna add about a teaspoon of that. We have our cumin. I'm gonna add a teaspoon of cumin. And I know I'm using my hand right now, but guys, I've been doing this for a very, very long time. The turmeric here, I am not going to put this in my hand, but I know how much is in here, and there is about a tablespoon of turmeric in here. You want to be really careful with the turmeric, because if this stuff gets on your hands, if it gets on any dishes that are like white or something like that, it will stain them, and the color does not come out. So you just want to be very mindful of that. So we got our turmeric in, which is 1 tablespoon, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of cumin, a teaspoon of ground ginger, 2 of our bay leaves, 1 whole onion, 2 cloves of garlic. I'm gonna go ahead and throw a tablespoon of sea salt in there, and then I've got some paprika, and we're gonna add in. And once again, I'm not gonna put this in my hand because paprika does tend to stain. Let me grab a spoon. And I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of paprika in here as well. And this is gonna be like a very flavorful dish. I mean, it's gonna be full of flavor. Another thing I forgot to tell you guys as well is that we want to, I'm going to put some sour cream on this to garnish it. So if you want to get some sour cream as well, that'll really bring this dish up a little bit, just as a garnish when you go to finish it off. So we've got this, these seasonings and these onions and garlic kind of just roasting off a little bit. We don't want to let that go too long. And then what I have here is I have about 3 quarts of chicken stock. I'm going to go ahead right now, and I'm going to add about 1.5 quarts of chicken stock in here to start off with. This is just something that I'm kind of just coming up with as we go, so I don't have like a recipe that I wrote down for this, so I'm going to have to feel it out. I am going to go ahead and add my 2 whole butternut squash that have already been roasted off. And that's looking pretty good right there as far as liquid to butternut squash. So I'm gonna let this kind of come up. I'm gonna go ahead too as well and add my coconut cream to that. So I'm gonna go ahead and open these cans. And this stuff is, the fat does solidify on the top of it. So we're gonna put 2 whole cans of this coconut cream in here. You could use coconut milk for this if you wanted to, but I just like the cream. It just has so much more flavor to it. And then we're just gonna let this just go for a little bit. I'm gonna let this simmer for about 15 minutes or so. And then I'm gonna come back and see how it looks and see if we need to add anything else to it. I'm gonna taste it and see how it's looking and then let you guys know what else we need to add. Whatever else needs to happen with the soup before we puree it. But we're just gonna let this kind of just simmer for a little bit. Make sure this butternut squash is, you know, got all the flavor mixed in there. All the flavors can kind of marry together. That's really what we want to happen. And then once that's done, we're gonna take this and we're gonna puree it all together, and then we're gonna finish up with the finished product. So I'll be back shortly, guys. All right, guys. Well, I've let this soup go ahead and continue to cook on medium for about 20 minutes. I went ahead and did all my dishes real quick while I let this simmer. And I'll let you just take a quick little peek at it, how it's looking right now. But we got a nice boil going on. It's looking really good. So, very important thing that we want to make sure that we do is we have got to fish out these bay leaves. So that is the first thing that you want to do, is get those out of here, because you do not want to puree your soup with these in here. So there's one, and I put 2 in here. So here's the other one right there. So both our bay leaves are out, and I'm going to take this and add it to my blender. I'm going to go ahead and puree this all up. Like I said, one of the things that you're going to want to have, I got some light sour cream here. You don't have to do this, but I think it'd be really nice as a garnish on the soup. So I've got some light sour cream in a Ziploc bag, and I'm going to show you guys a really quick way to garnish the soup, make it look really neat for your guests. If you were going to prepare this and have somebody over for dinner, I'll show you a really quick way to garnish the soup. You could use a squeeze bottle, but today I'm just gonna, I figured everybody's got a Ziploc bag, so I'm gonna show you a quick little way to do a nice little design on your soup. Just kind of just bring it up a little bit and make it look really neat. Another thing that I did too as well is I went out into my garden and I grabbed a big sprig of fresh mint, and I'm telling you, this stuff smells so good. So we're gonna add a nice little sprig of fresh mint right on the top of our soup as well. After it's done, I just washed it off and just put it in a paper towel, just let it dry off. But like I said, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna turn this off, get my blender ready. I'm not gonna blend this on camera because it's gonna be so loud. But like I said, I'm just gonna add this right in here, and I'm just gonna puree it, and I'm really gonna let it go for a little bit. I really like using this. The only caveat to this is now that I didn't think about this till now, but since I've added this to this clear container with the turmeric, it's probably going to end up staining this container. That's one of the things that I do not like about cooking with turmeric, because it tends to stain everything. And I already got a stain on my hand. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it got a little yellow there. But like I said, I'm going to let this go ahead, and I'm going to puree this up. I did want to tell you guys too that this morning I went outside to do something, and I was taking the trash out, and I ran across that family of deer again. They were right there at the end of my driveway, and there's actually an albino deer that is hanging out with those guys now. I can't wait for you guys to see this. I'm going to add it to the end of today's video, but there were 4 of them, and one of them is albino. We've seen the albino one hanging out with them, but we've seen it like over on the other side of our house. I've never seen them with this group. So this guy must have just joined up with them. But anyway, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and get this pureeing up. I'm gonna finish this up, and then I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna do the soup, garnish it, and that'll be it for today. So I'll be back in this. So now we're on to the last step. I have gone ahead and pureed all of my soup. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring this over here. Bring it down and just look at how nice that is right there. That is just beautiful. And I've got some more here. Go ahead and pour this in. Alright, so now that we have our beautiful soup here, I'm going to go ahead and make a nice bowl of it. And the one good thing about the soup is it's just packed with vitamins and nutrients. And not only that, but turmeric is anti-inflammatory. This is just a great recipe, especially with anybody who's having liver problems. It just, everything in here is just really, really good for you. But like I said, we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna show you guys a quick little something here. A way to do this. So I've got, let's see here. All right. So we got our soup here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take our sour cream. Open this up. We're gonna take our Ziploc bag here, and we're just gonna add in. I'm gonna take this spoon to do it. We're gonna add in just a little bit of sour cream in here. It's probably more than I'll need, but just gonna do it like this. I'm gonna seal it up. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut the tip off right here. And then just kind of let the air get out. Do this on top of the soup, just like that. And like I said, another way that you could do this as well is by just taking just a little tad of water and adding it to it. And then you could, by taking just a little bit of water in a whisk and just kind of mixing it in a bowl and then putting it in a squeeze bottle, that'll really make this just a little bit easier to kind of mess with. But you could take anything, a toothpick, anything like that, and just kind of drag through this and make these nice designs. If you did have a little bit of water in this, it's just going to make it look a little bit prettier because it will kind of glide through a little bit easier. But for today, this is what we're going to do. It still looks pretty nice. And then what we're going to do as well is I'm just going to take a nice little sprig of this fresh mint and just add it right on top. And that's about it. And that's our soup. That's the butternut squash coconut cream curry. And I'm gonna go ahead and give this bad boy a nice little taste. Guys, I'm telling you, that is really, really, really good. I mean, that is delicious. The butternut squash already by itself is a little bit sweet. But you've got the nice sweet and savory notes, you know, due to the butternut squash is nice and sweet, the chicken broth nice and savory, all those spices that are in there. I mean, this is a very, very good soup, and that coconut cream is nice and sweet. I'm telling you, all these flavors just come together really, really well. This right here would be excellent with a nice salad. You know, maybe a 3-course meal. Start off with, you know, this, kind of lead into some kind of a main course, maybe some kind of like a grilled chicken or something like that. Maybe finishing off with a salad. And then, you know, whatever else after that, maybe a little piece of fruit or something for dessert. But this would really, really, really be nice. Especially if you had something like some little demi-tasse cups or something like that. You know, you're really trying to impress some people. Serving this in a a little demi-glace cup, and then, you know, like I said, mixing up that sour cream with a little bit of water, keeping that in a squeeze bottle. You could keep this in in like a insulated thermos, like one of those big white ones that you can like pour coffee in to keep it hot. You could pour the soup right into there, and all you gotta do is just undo the lid, and then you could just pour it right into your cups, and that's basically it. But that's pretty much it, guys, for today. I hope you guys enjoy the soup. I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys, any of you all that have prepared it. If you do want to leave out the onions and either the garlic or any of that stuff, feel free to do so. You do not have to have the onions, the garlic, or any of that stuff in there. You know, do it however you want. This is just basically just a stepping stone for you. I mean, it's just an idea, and you can expand to whatever you would like with this recipe. But anyway, guys, that's it for today. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. We are almost at 5,000 subscribers, guys. I think we're like 20 subscribers away. If you are watching this video right now and you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. I am so excited to hit 5,000 subscribers, and it would just make my day to end the day at 5,000. This has been an unbelievable journey. I started off this channel back in March of last year, made that video, forgot all about it, and came back Thanksgiving Day and saw that video had 27,000 views, and started doing these videos every single day since that day forward. And this channel has grown 1,000 subscribers or more every single month. It's just mind-blowing how large this channel has grown. And I had to thank nothing but you guys for being here every single day, every video, everybody that subscribed, bought merch, all that stuff. You guys are so great. Thank you so much for the support of this channel. It means so much to me, and it really pushes me and motivates me to do these videos every single day, and I love doing them. So with that said, guys, I'll see you in tomorrow's video. I hope y'all have a great day. Happy Easter to everybody as well, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Bye-bye. There's a white deer right there. It's an albino deer. Look at that. That is crazy. You can see there's a whole family of them right there. That guy's albino.